Hello friends, today we're talking about how to create smoothness in updos that are more elegant and sleek. So I'm going to give you 3 different tips for creating that really smooth, sleek look that you can use in other updos that you do. So this is going to be 3 things that you can do that you can apply to lots of different styles of updos. I'm just going to give you one example of an updo today while I talk through these 3 steps. So let's get started. The first one is going to be to section, and I talk about this all the time, but really sectioning the hair is what will help you work cleanly, not get overwhelmed, have a roadmap for the way that you're going to be doing the hair. So for this particular style, I'm going to do a low, sleek, kind of twisted, knotted updo, and I've got 2 sections. So my ear and below section and the top. And the reason I'm doing that is because when I'm pulling it all back really sleek, I don't want to gather too much hair at one time, because when you're gathering a lot of hair and trying to wrap an elastic around it, that's when it can kind of get bumpy and bulky and you touch it too much and you can lose that sleekness. So by dividing it in half, that's giving me more control. So I've got my bottom half already secured and I've already put it in a ponytail. Now I'm gonna do the second half, which is the top, and that's how I divided it into my 2 sections today for my ponytail base updo, okay? So number 1, sectioning, all right? The second one is going to be product. So I'm using 4 products today. The first one is I've got a hairspray, a flexible hold hairspray. And what I'm going to do first is, and what I've already done to the bottom section, is I'm spraying the hair, and you're going to want to make sure it's pretty evenly dispersed. I've already sprayed this once, so I'm just going to do it real quick now and then brush through with a paddle brush. So this will help give your hair good grip for the base and give you just a good working palette to start with. So I'm going to start by shaping the hair into the pattern that I want it to go in, which is going to be pulled away from the face, kind of tight above the ears. And like I said, I've got my flexible hairspray in there, and that's how I'm starting out. Okay, so my top section, flexible hairspray. And before I start to go in to secure even more, now I'm going to hit it with a texture spray. So the texture spray is going to lock in the flyaways and give me a lot of control without making it stiff. It's still going to be workable. So that's why I put that texture spray in there. Now I will come in now with this bristle brush, okay, and start to pull it smooth and sleek with the bristle brush. So I'm combing it into my hands, and that's going to sleek it out. Now a tip that I think works really great when you're making sleek looks is to go through and do some back combing in the back right here before you get started. And the reason is as you start to sleek the hair in, the hair, especially on fine hair, is going to want to divide and start to make bumps right here. If you have a foundation of back combing, you can just smooth the top layer over that back combing for a really sleek look, and you're not going to get those bumps. So back combing is going to help you immensely. Okay, so now that I have it in here, this is the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to take smoothing cream. So this is my 3rd product. This is Schwarzkopf Tame Wild. I love it for the ends. I love it for finishing. I'm going to put it in my fingers. So yes, my hand is already in here, but I just need to get it working in my hands a little bit. So it's in my fingertips, and now I will use my fingers and put the product kind of over the top to do a little extra smoothing, and I'll have this in my fingers as I'm wrapping it in. All right, so I've got it where I want it to be. My fingertips have the smoothing cream in it, and now I'm going to use my elastic. So I am not one to use the bobby pin and elastic method. I'm going to sleek up one more time. Now that I have some of this Tame Wild, the smoothing cream in it, just kind of helps smooth it over the top one more time. Okay, so I like to use an elastic in a traditional way. So I grab the hair, I pull it through, and this is going to be a little forgiving because we're not leaving it in the ponytail. We're going to be turning it into an updo, and so I can still sleek into this and leave the bumps down at the base, and I'll be covering them with my updo. So I want this a little bit tighter. What I do to kind of mimic that bobby pin trick. You know when people take a bobby pin on each end and they wrap the elastic around and put the bobby pin through? I have used it sometimes, but I'm always afraid those bobby pins are gonna pop out. So that's why I don't do it. I do it the traditional way. I will put it around, the elastic around semi-tight, and then I will just go through after it's in how I want it and wrap it around one more time. So that allows me to get it tight, but I'm not really touching the hair again. Okay, friends, pulling it through. And now we're gonna keep sleeking it. So I'm gonna use my hairspray again, the ones that I used initially, just to do a gentle layer, okay? And I'm gonna get out any bumps and flyaways that I see. So I see some flyaways over here. I see a few bumps. I'm smoothing them, and they can gather into here. This is fine. You're bringing all that into this part because you're gonna cover it. Now the real trick, when you have a bump in here, so if there's a spot where you feel like there's a little bit of a bump or a lip that you wanna get rid of, you go in with your tail comb, you slide it in, and you lift it up, okay? So I'm just going in like this, and I'll just lift it up and lift it out. And if you need to go over it with your comb again, you can gently bring that in to comb that out, but you just wanna go through and find the spots. So sometimes you need to bring in some frizz, and sometimes you need to actually smooth out a bump by going in with your tail comb. So that's why I'm getting that nice sleek smoothness throughout the top. Oh my gosh, I just created a new bump. Be really careful. Okay, now, fourth product. This is like something I was very skeptical about, but I love. This is Schwarzkopf Silhouette. This is liquid hairspray. So I was kind of like, why are we using liquid hairspray? Well, it really locks things in with an awesome shine. So it's wet, but that's very helpful. So once you've gotten all the bumps out, okay, so there's no more bumps, you're not adjusting with your comb anymore, you can finish with this. So just a misting over the top. And I like to use the back of my comb to sleek it in instead of my fingers, and just make sure you have all those flyaways down. There's nothing out. And it's perfect, okay? Perfect. Now that you've got that done, now you can go through and do your updo. So I recommend doing all the sleek on the edges and the front of the hair and the side and all that stuff first, and then going through and doing your updo, okay? So then even if you have something get a little messed up by a bobby pin or something, it's easier to go back through and make a quick adjustment than trying to get all that sleekness in after you've done the back. So you wanna be able to pull all those bumps and flyaways into where your foundation is so you can build your updo over it. So I'm just gonna show you, I did a style shoot this last week, and I just did something really quick. And it turned out really great. So I had I'm using flexible hairspray here, twisting. I had taken my baby with me, so he's not really a baby, he's a year and a half. I took him with me to the photo shoot because it's the middle of the day and I'm home with him. And style shoots, you normally are volunteering, so to pay for childcare to go do something for volunteering is challenging. So I kind of timed it out like a boss and was able to figure out how to do it during nap time. But it took me a while to find the space, and he had already been napping for like 30 minutes. And so what happened was I felt like I better just keep it moving, right? I needed to move a little bit quickly. So this is why I did this kind of a twist. Basically, I took two sections like I'm doing now, put a lot of Textures product over it, twisted it up, and then I twisted it into an updo. And that cut my time down significantly. And so he slept the whole time. And when I was done, 2 minutes later, he woke up. So it was very good for me because I was able to do the whole thing, and then he woke up, and then I just hung out and played with him, and I was able to do touch-ups after that. So it was great. Okay, so you see how I just twisted that? All I did was twist it over itself, and now I'm gonna do the same thing on the bottom. So I didn't have like a huge strategy. I was just kind of looking to see what I thought looked pretty. I think this might look nice. And then I pinned it into place. And luckily my model's hair was really cooperative and worked well with me, and it turned out lovely. So it was pretty fun. I felt like a very seasoned mom for being able to have my baby sleep the whole time. So you can see I'm just kind of twisting it in place. And once I kind of get the overall look, then I will go through and tuck in the ends and see what makes the most sense for style. But this is kind of just an aesthetic thing, and I'm pinning them into my base of the elastics that I have placed in. And what you'll notice is that everything that I'm doing, I have a very light touch, and that is step 3 in creating smoothness. You want to make sure that you are not touching the hair too much, that you are working with a lot of intention, you're working really carefully, and that you're using your tools the best you can. So instead of, using your finger to jam it in, use your tools, like your comb, where you can, to adjust it. So with minimal touching, I'm creating this updo. I'm gonna put another pin in there just to make sure it's balanced. But that is my third tip, especially when you're creating any kind of smooth, sleek look, is you just want to be hands off as much as possible and work with a ton of intention. So by sectioning, by knowing the roadmap of where you're going, you can do that without manipulating the hair too much and touching it much. So you want to take a piece, fill it up with the product, and know exactly where you're going to place it, and then exactly where you're going to pin it. And that way you're avoiding touching it too much, okay? So that's number 3. So now that I kind of have the shape of this, I'm just going to use hairspray again, and I'm using my comb to smooth over any flyaways that I see. And I like to do my lighter hairspray first, coming through, and then when I love it, then I'll lock it in with the liquid hairspray on this really sleek style, because the liquid hairspray just has a much shinier finish and holds really well. So that is kind of how I would do something like this. So it's nothing too fancy, but it's nice and sleek and elegant. Sleek from the front too, nice and shiny. Mannequin head is so beautiful, right? One last product that I didn't mention in the beginning is a shine spray. So that would actually add 5 products to our repertoire, but I would finish this with, this is Kenra shine spray. You can blast it all over with the shine spray and give it a good glow. And then one other tip that I didn't need here, but you can use a flat iron to smooth out the ends, or to kind of smooth out any pieces before you secure it in the elastic. If you notice that your client has a kink from a ponytail, if they have kind of a bigger colic, something like that, you can use your flat iron to smooth over those pieces before you start and manipulate it into the ponytail. So just to review, we've got sectioning, we've got the right product, and then we have careful touch. So not touching it too much, being really intentional by not having your fingers up in it too much when you're doing these smooth, sleek, and elegant looks. So you guys, I hope this was helpful for you today. Thank you for joining me. I post a new video every week on YouTube, so if you love these, subscribe and you'll get notifications when I post. If you need more, I've got a 5 steps to your essential updo. So every updo I think has 5 elements that you need to use for it. You can grab that for free on my website. I'll also post it in the link below. Thanks for joining me. I'm Heidi with the Updo Collective, and I will see you next week.